All right, good to see you all. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about something that's honestly really near and dear to my heart. And that's the difference between knowledge and skill. And oftentimes people feel like, oh, I get the difference. I know what that is. And here's where we can take this conversation, though, that you may not have taken it before. Oftentimes people think of knowledge and skill and we think of technical tasks. I want to throw a baseball at something. I want to write a report. I want to create a set of cabinets. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's a technical skill, first what we do is we acquire some knowledge. And usually this is answered by the question we ask ourselves of how do I ... How do I do this? When we shift from the technical skills into something that's far more difficult and far more impactful for you and for your organization, which is your leadership, your communication, your mindset, your behaviors that you bring with you every single day, either intentionally and consciously or on autopilot. You just keep doing the same thing. You keep saying the same stuff. You keep running the same plays, hoping that they're going to work. We're going to talk about the difference here. So when it comes to leadership, when we think about or talk about any technical skill also, we're shifting from the knowledge side, which is how do I, and we're going to go into here's how I am. Right now we're applying. So what's beautiful is this is learning over here on the knowledge side, and on the skill side, this is doing. Both of these are important. And oftentimes what will happen, and I've done this myself, so the ones out there thinking, oh geez, that's just me. It's not just you. I'm right in there with you. Sometimes when I'm kind of afraid of doing something, I'll want to overlearn. I'll want to, let me learn a little bit more about this. Let me read 3 more articles. Let me talk to 2 more experts. And then I'll feel like I'll have enough to know what I'm doing so that I can start actually doing it, start actually applying it. Here's what I encourage you instead to do. Take the pressure off yourself. You're not learning perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. And perfection for me in one task is going to be different than perfection for you in a task. So I encourage you let's kick perfection to the curb. What instead you're going for is an understanding. I want to get good at something. And I encourage you to set good as your initial mark. I can tell you guys, I have learned to do a lot of things in my life. I've had some incredible help from folks. And usually the first time I did something, first time I rode a mountain bike, the first time I drove a boat, the first time I made something out of lumber, boy, the results were freaking ugly. That's okay. That's why they call it the first draft or the first iteration. It's all good. What's important though is I'm shooting for good. My initial results are probably not going to be good. They're probably going to be cruddy or so-so. After more practicing though, now what I'm doing is I'm putting a label on my efforts to create good. So good is an outcome. So I want to understand how to create good and then practice doing good. Here's what's important. This doesn't just work for technical things like driving a boat or making a set of shelves out of lumber or anything else. This applies to how each of us show up every day. So oftentimes I'll talk with folks and they'll say, well, yeah, I've read this leadership book or I've read this communication book. And what's happening is they're over-focusing on learning because they're going for this elusive, frankly, kind of baloney concept of perfection. Instead of saying, I've got a good idea how to do something, now let me jump in and just practice. Yeah, first couple times, it's going to be a little off. You won't hit your mark. That's okay. You're moving towards good. Remember, what you control is a decision to practice intentionally and deliberately. The results will come with time. Here's part of the reason why I have such a big deal about this is because this lane here, this lane is the theoretical. And while I like good concepts, I like neat ideas, and I can dive into theory, that's nice. What's happening in the real world? And that's where a lot of times when we want to overanalyze something, we want to keep focusing on learning, we want to stay in the theoretical because this is where we're comfortable. This is where we realize there are no ramifications because there's nothing happening. So when we shift from theoretical into the real world, not that MTV show and all of its stuff, when we shift into the real world, what we're actually doing is we're getting into the stuff that's not so much comfortable. It can be sometimes a little difficult. It can be even hard. And you know what? That's where we can say to ourselves, yep, this practice of mine, this is hard work. That's where the real growth will come from, and we'll go from good to better, and we'll keep on moving up that scale. So what's my one sentence recommendation if you're watching this and you're thinking, okay, Ivan, I hear what you're saying. This makes sense. Where are you going, pal? Here's where I'm going. If you want to improve your leadership communication, if you want to improve your leadership mindset for you and for others, if you want to improve your leadership behaviors, how you're actually showing up and actually doing things, get a good resource. There's lots of them out there. You can use us. You can use someone else. There's so many good options. And begin to apply it. What you're going to figure out really, really quickly is as you practice and shoot for good, you're going to figure out real fast, boy, this idea, this theory, this thing I read in this book or in this magazine article, this works. Man, this is a ticket. I am down with this. This is good. Or you're going to realize, wow, yeah, I went for that. Didn't fit. It's not working. And here's what's also important to know. The first couple of times, even though you're shooting for good, you're probably going to fall short. So if you get those womp womp, sad trumpet, bolos, and this is not the outcome you're looking for, be sure to separate, okay, how well am I applying this from what's the outcome? So if you give it several shots and you're really doing your best to work through it and you're simply not getting the traction, just not getting where you want, then it may be time to do something else. Now what's different is you're not just learning a bunch of things, you're learning and applying, and that's where you're going to learn from your own activities. Because learning from a book or learning from a magazine or learning from even some YouTube video that some bald guy puts on there, that's only going to get you so far. The money is in the practicing, in the doing. How am I going to do this? Part of the reason I'm so passionate about this is because I decided, probably about 2008, I decided I was tired of being a so-so pistol shooter. I shot pistols and I said, man, I'm tired of going to the range and shots are kind of all over the place and I'm not good. I really want to be good. And that's when I made the decision. And so, yeah, I did some learning. More importantly than learning, though, was I went to classes. I went to the range. I learned where I had gaps and holes and where I could tune my game up. And along the way, that practicing helped me go from good to better. And eventually it got to the point where I was an expert class or a master class shooter, depending on which kind of category or scale you look at. And that is a result, it took 10 years. That was a result of lots and lots of practice, lots of thinking, lots of doing, taking this and continuing to push it through the real execution, the real application of my ideas or others' ideas. So again, the one sentence, take something that's good, put it into practice, learn from that practice, see how that works for you, and then keep working to make yourself better and better and better at that. That will work for you with your leadership communications, that will work for you with your leadership behaviors, and most certainly will work for you with your leadership mindset. There's lots of resources on our website, so if you want to go to wingspanperformance.com, we have recently updated our website. It has got a heck of a lot of great resources out there, so please go and check those out. Also, there's links if you want to, and phone numbers if you want to get a hold of us to talk to us about some of these things, and you say, okay, that sounds good, I don't know where to start. We're happy to give you a hand. So please don't hesitate to call, email, or touch base any way you can. If you like this video, please do hit the like button down there. Also subscribe. If you go to our website, again, wingspanperformance.com, you can sign up for our weekly emails. That way you'll get not only these YouTube videos, you'll also get all of the written blogs that we put out there, which will help complement and fill in a lot of the things that we sometimes don't cover in videos. So I hope this was really helpful. Please leave comments below on what parts you liked or what part perhaps I even left out, and we can be sure to talk about that in a future video. Thanks.